The midday sun cast sharp shadows across the corporate plaza as 28-year-old Sarah Williams hurried toward the medical building for her certification exam. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail, and she wore her best white polo shirt with the Red Cross logo, paired with dark slacks that had seen better days, but were still professional enough for the occasion. Sarah had been working toward her emergency medical technician certification for 8 months, attending night classes while working as a waitress during the day and caring for her 6-year-old daughter Emma in the evenings. The certification represented her chance to build a career that could provide stability and benefits for both of them, something she desperately needed as a single mother with no family support. The plaza was bustling with lunch-hour foot traffic when Sarah noticed a commotion near the fountain. A man in an expensive gray suit had collapsed, and a crowd was forming around him, but most people seemed frozen with uncertainty about what to do. Without hesitation, Sarah dropped her exam materials and ran toward the scene. The man appeared to be in his early 40s, well-dressed and clearly successful based on his appearance, but none of that mattered as Sarah knelt beside him and immediately began assessing his condition. "Sir, can you hear me?" Sarah called out, checking for responsiveness. The man's face was pale and sweaty, his breathing labored, and he was clutching his chest. Every instinct from her EMT training told her this was likely a heart attack. "Someone call 911 immediately," Sarah commanded the crowd with authority that surprised even her. "And if anyone has aspirin, I need it now." The man, whose name was Michael Harrison, though Sarah didn't know it yet, was the CEO of Harrison Enterprises, a technology company worth over $50 million. He had been walking from a business lunch when the crushing chest pain hit him like a freight train, followed by the terrifying realization that he couldn't catch his breath. Sarah began performing the emergency protocols she had learned in her training, checking his pulse, monitoring his breathing, and keeping him conscious and calm while they waited for paramedics. "What's your name?" Sarah asked, maintaining eye contact to keep him focused. "Michael," he managed to whisper between labored breaths. "Michael, I'm Sarah, and I'm trained in emergency medical care. You're having symptoms that suggest a heart attack, but help is coming. I need you to stay with me and keep breathing slowly." Someone in the crowd had found aspirin, and Sarah carefully administered it while continuing to monitor Michael's vital signs. Her hands were steady despite the gravity of the situation, and her voice remained calm and reassuring even as she recognized how serious his condition was. "Are you in pain anywhere besides your chest?" Sarah asked, running through her mental checklist of heart attack symptoms. "Left arm," Michael gasped. "And my jaw," Sarah nodded, recognizing the classic presentation. "That's consistent with what we're dealing with. The paramedics will be here soon, and they'll be able to give you medication to help with the pain and improve blood flow to your heart." For the next several minutes, Sarah stayed with Michael, monitoring his condition and providing reassurance while keeping the crowd at a respectful distance. She positioned him to optimize his breathing, checked his pulse regularly, and watched for any signs of deterioration. When the paramedics arrived, Sarah quickly briefed them on Michael's symptoms, the timeline of the event, and the care she had provided. The lead paramedic, recognizing her competence and thoroughness, asked if she was medical personnel. "EMT student," Sarah replied. "Taking my certification exam this afternoon?" "Well, you just passed in my book," the paramedic said with respect. "Textbook response to a cardiac event." As the paramedics prepared Michael for transport, he grabbed Sarah's hand weakly. "Thank you," he whispered. "You saved my life." "Just get to the hospital and follow your doctor's orders," Sarah replied gently. "Take care of yourself." Sarah watched the ambulance drive away, then gathered her scattered exam materials and checked her watch. She was now running late for her certification test, but she made it to the medical building just in time to begin the examination that would determine her professional future. 3 weeks later, Sarah was working her usual shift at Murphy's Diner when a well-dressed man entered and asked to be seated in her section. She recognized him immediately as Michael, the heart attack victim from the plaza, though he looked much healthier and more robust than when she had last seen him. "Sarah," Michael said as she approached his table. "I was hoping I'd find you here." Michael, how are you feeling? Did everything go well at the hospital? Thanks to you, yes. I had emergency surgery to clear a blocked artery, and the doctor said that your quick response and the aspirin you gave me probably prevented major heart damage. Sarah felt a wave of relief and satisfaction. I'm so glad to hear that. Are you following your doctor's recommendations for recovery? Religiously, Michael smiled. New diet, exercise program, stress management, the whole program. But I didn't come here just to thank you, though I certainly wanted to do that. He paused, studying her face with the same attention she had given to his medical condition 3 weeks earlier. I did some research and learned that you're an EMT student working as a waitress. I also learned that you're a single mother supporting a young daughter. Sarah felt her cheeks flush with embarrassment. How did you find out all that? I asked around because I wanted to properly thank the person who saved my life. What I discovered is that you're working multiple jobs while going to school and raising a child, which tells me you're not just medically competent. You're also incredibly dedicated and hardworking. Michael pulled out a business card and placed it on the table. Harrison Enterprises has a corporate wellness program, and we need someone to manage our occupational health and safety initiatives. The position requires EMT certification, which I'm told you just received, and it pays $60,000 annually with full benefits. Sarah stared at the business card, hardly believing what she was hearing. Mr. Harrison, this is incredibly generous, but I need to know this is about my qualifications, not just gratitude. It's about both, Michael replied honestly. Gratitude brought you to my attention, but your qualifications and character make you the right person for the job. Someone who can keep a clear head in a medical emergency while treating a complete stranger with competence and compassion is exactly what our company needs. Over the following months, Sarah thrived in her new position at Harrison Enterprises. She developed comprehensive safety protocols, conducted training sessions for employees, and managed the company's relationships with local emergency services. Her background as a working mother and EMT student gave her a unique perspective on workplace wellness that resonated with employees at every level. More importantly, Sarah and Michael began to develop a friendship built on mutual respect and shared values. Michael had been a widower for 3 years, having lost his wife to cancer, and he found in Sarah not just professional competence, but personal strength and genuine warmth. Emma, Sarah's daughter, took to Michael with the easy acceptance that children show toward adults who treat their parents with respect and kindness. Michael, who had no children of his own, discovered the joy of being part of a family unit where love was measured not in material gifts, but in attention, care, and shared experiences. You know, Sarah said one evening as they watched Emma play in the park, 6 months ago, I was worried about passing my EMT exam and making ends meet. I never imagined that helping someone in an emergency would change my entire life. You didn't just help someone in an emergency, Michael replied, watching Emma on the swing set. You helped me realize what really matters. Before the heart attack, I was so focused on business success that I had forgotten about personal connection and the importance of taking care of the people around me. He paused, then continued more quietly. You saved my life that day in the plaza, but you've been saving it every day since by showing me what it means to live with purpose and genuine care for others. A year later, Sarah and Michael were married in a small ceremony attended by Emma, company employees who had become like family, and the paramedic crew that had responded to Michael's heart attack. The lead paramedic, who had been so impressed with Sarah's emergency response, served as one of their witnesses. Sarah continued to manage the corporate wellness program, but now with expanded resources and Michael's full support for innovative approaches to employee health and safety, her program became a model for other companies, focusing not just on medical emergencies, but on creating workplace cultures that supported overall well-being. Emma flourished in their new family structure, with Michael proving to be not just a loving stepfather, but someone who understood that the greatest gift he could give was not material comfort, but emotional security and genuine care. The plaza where Sarah had first encountered Michael became a place they visited regularly, not as a reminder of crisis, but as a symbol of how lives can change in unexpected moments when people choose to help rather than simply observe. Michael kept Sarah's EMT certification framed in his office, not as a trophy but as a reminder that the most important qualifications for success aren't always found on resumes but in the willingness to act with competence and compassion when others need help. The heart attack that could have ended Michael's life had instead become the beginning of a new life for all three of them, proving that sometimes the most beautiful love stories begin with someone's willingness to kneel down in a public plaza and refuse to let a stranger face their crisis alone. Sometimes the greatest emergencies in our lives aren't medical but emotional, and sometimes the person who saves our life is also the person who teaches us what life is actually worth living for. Sarah's quick thinking had saved Michael's heart in the medical sense, but her continued presence in his life had saved it in every sense that truly mattered. If this story reminded you that small acts of courage and competence can create life-changing connections, please give it a like and share it with someone who might need encouragement about the power of helping others in their time of need. Subscribe for more stories about how being prepared to serve others often prepares us for opportunities we never saw coming. And please comment below about a time when helping someone in an emergency led to something meaningful, or when someone's quick thinking made a difference in your life. Your story might inspire someone else to learn life-saving skills or reach out when they see someone in need.